It's the Social Drinkers Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Social Drinkers Podcast. Oh, we missed y'all. We're glad to be back in the house, in our studio, the best studio ever, designed by our own Sean P.
What's going on, y'all?
Yes, and I'm Sean.
And I'm Sean P.
And welcome to the Social Drinkers Podcast. Today's going to be a little different. I won't be spearheading this one.
That's okay. And we got the little setup a little bit different so we can just really get a little bit more intimate, talk about some real stuff.
Absolutely.
Sean, since I'm running the show this time.
Come on.
What are we talking about? It's something that's really near and dear to your heart.
Yes, I will be sharing my story in regards to being a mom that has an incarcerated teenager.
Make sure you bring that mic to you.
Okay.
So they can hear
My
you.
apologies. So when he actually went to prison, he was a teenager, and now he's a grown man. And we're going to be talking about, this is going to be my opportunity. I'm getting ready to get a therapy session with you.
You think so?
You get ready to lay me on this couch. We get ready to talk about some things.
And I promise I will behave because it's a lot I need to know. Now, I have a 19-year-old, so your son is not that much older than...
No, he is 22 currently.
Well, how old was he when he went in?
He was 17 years old when he went to the penitentiary.
So I can't fathom having a 19-year-old what that would be like. It would be devastating.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
We're here to protect our children at all costs.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, there are things that my son has done or has failed to do that I hold myself not necessarily accountable. It's just like what I could have done better.
Yes.
So I know that's part of some of what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
So you want to start off with something? You want me to go ahead and start delving into your situation?
We can just go right into it and get started with today.
Okay, so I guess what I just said was a pretty good segue.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about what your son's upbringing was like? So oftentimes we think about what we could have done better.
Yeah.
Or when we picture somebody's child or a young person that gets into trouble, one of the first things that people do is kind of criticize that person's upbringing.
Right.
We need to blame the parents.
Right. Absolutely. We're always the first to blame.
When our children are out of our eyesight.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a strict household, and I still messed up a little bit when I got out. So the question is, what type of upbringing do you think you brought your son up in, or what type of upbringing do you know that you brought your son up in?
So it initially started when his dad and I got a divorce, and he was approximately, when we separated, he was about 3, but when the divorce was official, he was about 5 years old. So then I married my second husband at the age of 5 years old. I mean, my son was 5 years old.
So you wasn't 5 years old.
No,
when
I
you
wasn't 5,
okay,
because there would have been some statutory rape or some real sick shit going on. But no, I wasn't 5.
That would have been a whole nother podcast.
Yes, it would have been. It wouldn't be this one. And he had other children. So he had 5 children. I had 3 children. So that's a total of 8 children. So we were truly the Brady Bunch.
8 is enough.
8 is more than enough. Yes. Okay. And in the household, his 2 twin sons, they were approximately probably about, when we got married, I think they were like 16. They were about 16 years old. And then my kids are 5 years apart. And it's the reason why you need to know this hierarchy of how everything went. And my kids were 15, 10, and 5, if I'm not mistaken, or close to that range. No, you're good. And they, the kids were brought up differently, so to speak, meaning
your kids were brought up one way and his kids were
brought up a different way.
So was one more strict or conservative than the other? Mine was
okay. Super strict because it was, you had to make good grades in school every day, church, the typical family, church, and we did a lot of family bonding.
Okay.
So a lot of things I didn't find out until my son went to therapy. So that's why I can fast forward a little bit. Okay. We found a church home that would be conducive for both of us so we could get our family integrated as we should be, because his children, they were in a lot of trouble all the time. And that led up to, so look, I got my son. I'm just going to put it up. My son was a youth minister.
Okay. The one that's incarcerated.
No. So I have 3 children.
Okay.
I have my oldest daughter, and then let me say in order and go slower. My oldest daughter, then my son, my oldest son, and then the baby boy.
Gotcha.
So the child that's incarcerated is my baby boy.
Gotcha.
And I know a lot of people been waiting to hear this story, to know what actually happened, because I have been really... You can read, and then you saw him on the news.
Yeah,
so
I said it kind of made the news.
Yeah. It made the news. It was big. They played it over and over again. And with that being said, I can tell you my oldest son was, if I'm going to work and they're out of school, when I get home, he got them kids in a circle doing Bible study. The house is spotless. Food is cooked. Torian is serious. That's my oldest son. Then we have his oldest, which are older than Torian, like 6 years old, didn't know that they were taking my baby boy on crime sprees, didn't know that they gave him his first marijuana at 9 years old.
So, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, please do, please.
So what he got caught for, what he got sentenced and sent to the pen for, wasn't that necessarily the first thing he did.
No,
he had already
that's
started
why
dabbling in it, and it's kind of okay.
Yes, and as my oldest son say, he wasn't interested in doing the right thing. So my oldest son's life wasn't intriguing to him, but the twins' life of crime, that's what was intriguing to them. Yeah, it was fun and it was adventurous, and not blaming them at all, because Tate has always been reared to be a person that has character, a person who doesn't harm anyone. And when I get into tell you all the things that my son was involved in, it's just like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type situation.
So the side they chose you and the side that...
Totally different.
Okay.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Do you think either side was more real than the other, or is it two sides of the same
No,
coin?
I think he was living in his truth in both sides. He was just one way this way, and then he was one way at this particular time, but it was all him.
Got it.
And so we dealing with the life of crime. So we decide the twins have been incarcerated. So it's right there. And keep in mind, on my side, nobody has ever had these, like from my intimate family. I'm only speaking for like 3 to 4 generations of my intimate family had to deal with incarceration or anything. And I knew something was going on when this mentally challenged young man jumped on my son. And keep in mind, they're 5 years apart. He jumped on my oldest son. My oldest son is a non-confrontational person, so he wouldn't do anything to him. Tate wasn't having it, and Tate was only 5 years old. He jumped his brother. My baby stabbed that boy in the hand with a fork. So, little incidents like that started leading up to me watching, like,
he's different.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, he's real different. Starting to leading up to these things. But keep in mind, we're still on the road with just him in his development. We're seeing these things happen. And how far do you want to go? We're talking about the upbringing. How far do you literally want to go? Meaning, do you want me to tell you? So that's kind of like a middle school era.
What I want you to do is to say what's on your mind. Say what's on your spirit. Whatever's. Have you talked about this out in the open?
No, never.
Let it go.
Okay. So we start seeing these behavior changes you at a young age. And he was a kid that had 2 dads and a mom. So he wasn't that kid that was...
He was kind of blessed in a way.
Man, he was spoiled. Then he had all these older siblings to where they are doing whatever he wants. He's super... Because he's the baby of 8. Then we go into his entrepreneurial spirit. in elementary school. Instead of him spending his allowance, he has my daughter who's driving, taking him to Sam's, and he's using his money to buy chips and selling chips and candies for $2-3 a bag. So he has this love of money that he developed at an extremely early age. So then let's fast forward a little bit to when we really start having. So we moved out of our neighborhood. We lived in Aldine, if anybody's familiar. We moved out of Aldine High School. From the Aldine area, because we're like, oh my God, there's so much riffraff over here. Because when my son left to go to the military, the oldest one, we really started seeing a lot of behavior changes coming. So I'm taking you back.
Your son was kind of like a moderator.
Oh,
for
heck
it.
yeah.
Once that was removed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he sheltered a lot of things that was going on that I found out later, because he wanted to protect his baby brother, and he tried to feel guilty about what happened because of the protection that he gave. And I was like, there's no way you could feel guilty about protecting your little brother, because that's just how it's designed.
It's innate.
Exactly. So he had got jumped on in a neighborhood, and my son's friend saved him from that ass whooping, which he probably should have got that ass whooping, and maybe it would control some of the things that he did. So we moved completely out, bought a new house, and moved to see King. So this is where the roller coaster starts. So we're thinking we're moving him out into a whole better neighborhood, brand new school coming up. So you're gonna have a really good life. And
you moved him. You moved him because of this, not because you just wanted to get out of the area. The main folks was him. Exactly. And we decided let's just try to do something just a little elevated to help, with him. So my ex-husband sold his house of 20 years. So he was almost going to be done paying for it, because he had it since high school, just to try to give this child a better life, because he's the last one in the home at this point. All the other kids are gone because it's such a sizable age difference. And we decided to go ahead, let's just move and let's see what happens, so we move. And also, you're thinking he's the only kid in the house. Y'all can give him all the attention.
Man, come on, tell me about it. All of this will be on you. We moved. Tate had a whole upstairs by himself. He had upstairs because our bedroom was downstairs. So all the rest of the bedrooms are upstairs, game room. Any kid would dream of like having their own stuff, your own bathroom. You don't have to share it with nobody. Life is good. Well, I go to the goddamn mailbox, Chon, and there is a picture of my child on the mailbox.
For what?
Have you seen him? He had went to somebody's house and he had taken a bike.
So somebody, there's like a Ring camera or something.
Yes,
like that.
And they posted him in the whole neighborhood.
So let me ask you this. What was your response to that? Did you say, okay, let me gather up my kid, where's the bike, and take it back to the neighbor? Or how did that shake out?
So what happened was, I'm looking for the neighbors and I'm looking for a house, because we were in a new subdivision. They were in the older subdivision, and you could tell. So on the camera, it had numbers. So I went to every street until I found that house. Okay. I did. When I found them, we was locked and loaded. My ex-husband, his dad, and him. Mm-hmm. We were going to the house. When I told him, I called him, I said, hey, I found this house. And it took me a day or two to find the house. I went and marched his ass right on up there saying, let's talk about what happened. Okay. The bike did get returned, but he actually took it. So I'm talking it was a Hispanic lady. I'm talking to her, telling her like, I'm so embarrassed. I so apologize. And my son doing his normal, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He's approximately
He's doing his
15.
Eddie Haskell.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what you did, but you're playing this whole scene like you're so innocent. So I told the lady, I say, if you press charges, I would not trip. Because keep in mind, there's been several incidents prior to this one, but these are the ones that stand out.
Gotcha.
And I told her, I said, if you press charges, I will not be mad at you, because he needs to pay for what he did. That lady told me I was the most horrible mom ever. Oh, yeah, I done been through some shit. She told me I was the most horrible mom ever. How could you ever want to do this to your son? And it basically...
Well, hold on. She was upset that you
was suggesting that she filed charges on him after he came to apologize.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. And she felt that I'm like, you're a horrible mom. Like, how could you do that? Because I want my kid to be accountable. It's like he is this
How'd that make you feel?
I left all of them there. We were already in separate cars because the dads brought Tate. So I left them all there. It made me feel like, oh my God, like how could you think that? Because I want my son to be accountable, because it's only going to be so many of these little bitty things until they're going to lead to big things. And he's always so cunning to everybody. He's never been held accountable for the things that he's done. Like he always weasels his way out of it, you know? And so that was one particular incident that like flipped. So another incident happened. We were, I skipped. It was a big incident prior to then when my son was getting married. My oldest son was getting married, and my ex-husband and I flew to North Carolina to go to their wedding. So Chon, I never miss flights. Somehow I mixed up our flights. I don't know how I did that, but I mixed up our time that we were supposed to be at the airport going back. So we winded up missing our flight, and then they made us catch a flight to Nashville, and then we had to lay over. So in the interim of this, nobody called me, but I'll tell you what was going on while we were sitting at the airport. My son had stole his man truck, him and another friend. The man had went fishing, and it is the point to this story. The man went fishing, and the man left I don't know why he left the keys in his truck. And they were in Fifth Ward, because while our house was being built, we were staying in my mom's old house. He left the keys in his truck, so him and his friends saw it. They jumped in the man's truck, and not only did they jump in the truck, they threw the man fucking fish out of the truck. Like it was bothering them.
Like, fuck your fish.
Yeah, that's how it was. It was like really
like,
fuck
you know how long I sat out on that boat?
Okay. And that man, he was hotter than fish grease. That man
no
came.
Pun intended.
Exactly. That man came locked and loaded to my grandmother's house with a gun. My daughter happened to be there. So he was like, and so keep in mind, my grandmother is a Pentecostal preacher. So everybody knows my grandmother's neighborhood. She's been there since before I was born.
So the guy whose truck they stole, he knew who took it.
Yeah, he obviously saw them at some point because he went straight to my grandmother's house, or somebody identified and said, hey, that's Pastor Nelson's, grandson or whatever. So he comes locked and loaded to my grandmother's house with a gun and all. And thank God me and my ex-husband was not there, because we carry too. You know what I'm saying?
It could have gotten ugly.
It would have. In the way that I heard how the man came. So my daughter was like, man, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Your whoever he is, he stole my truck and blah, blah, blah. So then my dad was hanging out on Market Street. He see Tate flying down the street in somebody's truck. He knew it was his grandson, so he get on the phone and he started making phone calls. So somehow him and Sham connected. Then my daddy locked and loaded at this point, because Sham telling him that there is a gun. This man has a gun and he's looking for Tate. And he's already saying he's going to kill him when he catch him. So high speed chase. The man is in his friend's vehicle. They're chasing him. My daddy done jumped to his van. He chasing. It was some made for TV shit. And then Sham is in her car trying to get to Tate to tell him, hey, just get this man back his truck. Just give him his truck. Just get this man his truck. So finally, my dad caught up with Tate, and somehow he caught him to stop him. The man, everybody meeting at one point. So you got about 3-4 cars in Fifth Ward. So it's like a fucking standoff. Everybody heated. So at this point, Tate finally did get out the car. The man was trying to get my son at gunpoint. Then my dad pulled his gun, like, you gonna let my grandson go. Ain't nobody taking nobody, blah, blah, blah. And keep in mind, all these innocent people are not involved. My daughter's involved. My dad's involved. And my dad ain't no youngster. And he's sitting up there trying to stop them from taking his grandson. So when Tate gets loose, he bolts off and leave my daddy and my daughter there.
Jumps on you, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. And he leaves, and and first of all, I ain't raised them. If something happens, we gonna stick together. We down like 4 flats. There ain't nothing else. And he takes off and he leaves my daughter. So then my daughter calls his dad and let him know, hey, Dad, this is what happened. So he comes to get him, right? He's sick of all the trouble he been in. So he's beating his butt. And he asks, and Tate being you done did all this stuff, but you can't take no ass whooping. Right. Hit the wrong way. Emilio hit him some kind of way, which was accidentally. When he take him, he said, I'm taking you to the psych ward. His first mind wasn't to do nothing. He took him straight to a mental hospital. I'm not lying to you because it's so much trouble. I'm not even giving you, it's too much for me to tell you all. He take him straight there. And this is just some of the incidents. And Tate lets him know that he gets hit in the ear, right? So guess what? She calls moi.
Oh, calls you.
Oh, she calls me. And so when I'm telling her, look, this boy have done this, that, and the other, the man, you know, my dad paid the man for his fucking fish. That's how he got out of it. He was like, you ain't got to call no cops. Here go your money. I think my daddy gave him probably $80 to $100 for some fish. I said, I need to go store catching fish if that's going to be the cost of it. You know, I can give me a little change.
Fast fish.
Oh, hell yeah. Just to keep all the commotion down. And with that being said, when the lady called me and I'm telling her, when it did catch up to them calling me, which was that Sunday, we get back into town, we find out everything that's going on. By the time we get back, Tate's back home because they let him go. They're like, there's nothing wrong with him. There's something wrong with y'all. So the script turned. So when the lady called me and I'm telling her, I wasn't there, you're calling me. I was stuck in a flight and it's verifiable. This is my ticket. Well, me and the lady exchanged words. So she called CPS and she said, I hit my kid. This is what vindictive people can do. I wasn't even here. So now I get my first CPS case. They did the investigation. They went up to the school that he was going to at the time. They talked to her and the lady was like, he's a liar. But it took a minute for that to go, you know, for them to be able to develop with that investigation and all that stuff. And she was like, he is really a liar. I'm sorry you went through this. And they didn't even give me an opportunity to provide the documents. They already concluded that this was some false stuff.
So did your son apologize?
No, he didn't.
So he didn't feel like he did anything wrong?
I guess he didn't.
So this leads up to the next question.
Go ahead.
The incident where he actually faces some real repercussions, some real consequences, which is what he's doing now.
Yeah.
He ran in that incident too.
Yep.
So it's never
owning it.
Fair enough. Tell me about what
never
happened.
own it.
Tell me about what happened.
So that's one incident, you know, and thank God I got the charges dropped against me because.
Wait a minute. Okay, so CPS case.
Yeah.
Let me go back real quick and I apologize.
Sure.
When you said you got a CPS case, those are charges.
Yeah.
So I'm not aware of that. I thought CPS case means that they're coming to investigate the home and all that. But when you get a CPS case against you, you're being charged with a crime.
Well, they created actually a case for me based on what he said. And then
based
they
on
did
what your
the
son said.
Yes. And then they did the investigation based on what the son said and then what the therapist said that I was the one that hit him. I wasn't even nowhere. I wasn't even in Texas, you know. I get you. And so it turned into a big thing to where I wasn't cleared until I got that letter in the mail saying.
I thought it was an investigation. It's a charge.
The letter actually saying you were found not the allegations were false towards you and blah 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 blah.
A felony.
I never went to court for it. I hadn't went to court yet, but I don't know what it would have led to.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay. I
just
want to get some clarification.
Exactly.
I've never dealt with CPS or anything like that.
That was my first time too, and I was mad as hell too, because I'm like, all these kids I got, and I get one with, and then I wasn't even here, and his dad never got any. I wasn't the one touched him. It was nothing with his dad. It all fell on me, but it usually do for the moms.
And also though, if his dad smacked him up because of what he did.
He needed to. Okay. Yeah. He just moved the wrong way. You can't take that ass whooping. You could take what you do, but you couldn't take that ass whooping. So moving forward, these are just like a few in brief, synopsises of things that led up to the behavior in for as the school. So let me tell you some great points about him. This child was a drummer in the church, youth drummer. He was a usher. He initially, before the crimes he committed, he was graduating high school with already making $60,000, having a $60,000 job because he was a certified welder at CE King. He was number one in his class. He was also graduating with a partial scholarship from San Jack. Okay. So there was no need for him to do any of the things that he did. A lot of it was thrill. It was. So leading up to that, at that point, then this is where we're going to talk about the mental health. Okay. So he did a couple other things at school. And one of the incidents that he led up with, which was a supposed robbery in my neighborhood, and they had film. We went to court. I've been to court over 30 times with my kid. Yeah, literally. From resets to everything. I've had lost or had an issue with my supervisor at one of my jobs because I had to keep leaving because that was my kid. And when they called, I was going. Right. Long story short, one of the incidents led to our new house built from the ground up being shot up. So we had, the vehicle got shot up, probably about 4 bullets into the vehicle and 2 or 3 in the house. Because of allegations of him supposedly robbing somebody else. And the video didn't match his description. It didn't look like him. So the charges were dropped. Then I was harassed by the same person on a neighborhood app saying, your son did this and I know y'all stay in the new part and we're just like I'm coming to rob your house. And I heard it was nice. Oh, the lady, to the point they had to take her off the app. So now I'm
a woman talking to you like that?
Yeah.
Y'all think that gangster.
Yeah, and it wasn't a black woman either. So let's not. It was not a black woman. It was not. Hispanic? It was a Hispanic woman.
I can't see Becky doing that.
No, it was.
So I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna rob you.
No.
Okay, all right.
So it wasn't that, because this girl was gangster. She was serious. So then here we go walking around the Wild Wild West, and we in our garage. We got guns next to us and all this stuff because we never know when something's going to happen because the house has been shot up.
So you got to take everything,
every precaution seriously. And then so it was just like one thing after another. So to fast forward you over, so for this particular incident, there was one more incident, and on this incident they finally put him on house arrest. So that made for me, thank you, Crystal, if you're watching. That made for me, that's my old boss. Mm-hmm. I would have to leave my job. He, at that time, CE King had got destroyed. They moved their school to Crosby. They flooded from the flood. That made me have to drive to Crosby to go get him because he had to be dropped off every day, adult supervised. He had to be picked up. I work downtown at Vertus. So I'm driving on my break to go all the way to Crosby and bring him back to the job with me.
How long is your lunch break?
Well, I never got docked from the time because I was always at work, but it was more than an hour. But I made up for my time because they already knew.
They work with you.
Yeah, how I was. And that's why I was giving shout out to Crystal, because my previous boss was not lenient at all.
Man, shout out to Crystal.
Shout out to Crystal. And she would work with me so I could go and get him and bring him back up there. So you're on house arrest. So that led to the court assigning him a therapist. Okay. So, and then we had already said something is wrong with you. There has to be something wrong. And shout out to my best friend. You already know Wendy. Because she couldn't see him.
What's up, Wendelin?
Because she couldn't see him, she recommended that he get assistance from a doctor.
To the situation.
Oh yeah, she was way too close, so she couldn't see him. But she saw that there was an obvious challenge going on with him mentally. So she helped me get him in like ASAP. Shout out to Dr. Rector. She was an amazing doctor with him. She kept it real with him. Don't come here bullshitting me. When you come here, we only want the truth. She put him on medication. So now I have to be home for his home therapist to come see him. Then I'm taking him to Fifth Ward to go see his doctor as well. So it's just appointments all over. Plus, he in all this trouble with court. I don't know how I made it, Sean. It wasn't nothing but the grace of God. And then I had to keep him with his. Oh, and he played baseball for CE King too. Let's get that great baseball player.
Did he continue to play baseball through all the troubles that kept him on the team?
When he came back he was able to stay on the team.
Nigga, I got an F.
And
I got an F, and they wouldn't let me play basketball.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
but somehow this little fella of mine managed to keep up his grades. Go figure throughout. Oh, and did I tell you he also worked at? If you looked at the picture that I showed you, I mean on the internet, he also worked at Whataburger and Kroger. So this boy had 2 jobs. He was a certified welder. We never missed church. Drummer and usher. He never missed. So activities keeping him busy, man, kept him busy. And then the therapy appointments.
So it sounds like you did every possible thing and then some to try to mitigate some of his behavior.
Oh, yeah.
It just didn't stick.
Oh, yeah. It just didn't. Shout out to Allison. For the summertime, I wouldn't leave him. I wasn't leaving him at home. I would drive from Aldine, and the YMCA that he worked at was all the way in Kingwood, and I worked on 34th Street. So I would drop her off. Sometimes she would be able to take him for me, and then or else I'm taking him. Do you know how much time I spent in that car? I lived in the car.
Yeah, sounds like it.
You know, just to try to keep him just on the right path and keep him going.
Was his dad able to carry some of this load that you?
Well, both of them. So he was in so much.
Got it.
It was just like everybody was in rotation. I wasn't alone.
Okay, there it is.
I wasn't alone. We were in strict, because even Emilio would come to say, I'm going to pick him up at the job and I'm going to take him here, you know, to spend time with him. Oh, he's done scared straight with him, tried to take him to the jail to scare him straight. Y'all, if I tell y'all everything we did, from going to the church, my pastor talking to him, to the deacons talking to him, to his godfather, shout out to Craig talking to him, to spending time with him. And then, not to mention, we were always in homeless projects. So Tate has fed the homeless so much. We'll go to the food pantry, and we would shout out to Sister Sutton. We'll go work with Sister Sutton and go to the food pantry. To keep him busy, I did whatever it took. So he knows about humanity. He knows about caring for other people.
So tell me about this incident.
Okay. So now let's go to the coup de grace.
The straw that broke the camel's
back. The coup de
back.
grace. The fucking coup de grace. And so we've hired one attorney, and the rest of them and he wanted to start getting the same attorney.
Because he was in there so much.
They defended him, in the cases.
Like, hey, I know you.
Yeah, exactly. And they kept saying he's such a good boy because how he would dress and how he speaks. He ain't no yay man, hey man. People who know me will vouch. They'll know this is a mannerable kid. You would just be like, something is wrong, you know? So leading up to the incident, I'm going to tell you how it happened. I'm watching TV. And
please don't tell me you found out on TV.
Oh yeah, okay. That's how. So right. I'm watching TV. So we're going to fast forward and we're going to go to the real incident, because we'll be sitting there for hours talking about everything. So let's just do a recap. He's going to therapy. He has a therapist coming to the house to come see him, and that went on for a minute, like over 6 months, and then ongoing with Dr. Rector, and she has him on medication because he has been diagnosed with impulsive disorder. He gets a rush out of things, and then not to mention him probably he was smoking the weed to keep it from being detected in his system, which was the synthetic weed, which is the worst thing that makes your behavior worse. Yeah, that made everything just really spiral out of control. And so this is what happened. So me and my ex-husband, we were in a very bad spot. We were about to be separated, and I'm not even going into that. We were separated, living in the same house. So I'm upstairs, and I'm on the couch, and I'm watching TV, and Tate happened to call me right before this incident happened. He said, hey mom, he was at Whataburger. He said, I'm working late. Don't come and pick me up, such and such. And he's a minor. This dude was a minor. He was 16, Tate was 17. So I'm not going to say his name because he just went to juvie for this crime. So he said, such and such is going to.
Real quick, your son's how old right now?
He's 22.
No, at the.
Oh, he's 17 at this time.
Okay.
He's 17 years old.
Is that an adult in Texas?
Yes, it is.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Got it.
And he was like, such and such is going to pick me up, so don't worry about coming to get me, because I'll go get him for work and all that stuff. He said, don't worry about coming to get me because such and such going to get me. I say, okay, Tate. I say, tomorrow's a school night, so you not going to stay there all night working. So I wound it up. So when we hung up, he said, okay. I'm looking at TV and this man getting jumped in a convenience store. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I say, that's my kid.
You
couldn't see his face. Nope.
But you knew.
His mannerism, how he hold his hand, everything. I say, that is my child. So I start screaming, Trey, you need to come upstairs. So me and him got into it. Just because he get in trouble, you can't blame him. Trey was, and we never say stepdad. Trey was that bonus dad that he was going to give Tate the benefit of the doubt if nobody else. When Tate getting in all this shit, he go rolling not to come to Tate defense. And I told him, Tate going to get you in trouble one of these days. You need to stop doing that, you know. And so me and him into it because he's like, that's not him. A mother knows their child. Because the face wasn't good. They was looking for this person. Excuse me. They were looking for this person.
They didn't know who it was, but you knew.
I knew who he was.
Real quick, do you think that's the case a lot of times when they have these videos that come out and they have surveillance and that the mama or the daddy
recognizes their child?
Do you think a lot of times they say something?
I don't know.
Did you say anything?
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay, let's get it.
So at this point, I'm like, hell no, I know that's him. So, Chon, I fall asleep.
How?
I did. After all this, I laid there and I fell asleep. I dreamed that Tate was standing behind me with a 12 gauge. If I'm lying, I'm dying. When I don't even know how I fell asleep. The vision was as clear as day that he was standing behind me with a 12 gauge. I jumped up and I was like, something ain't right. I'm ringing his phone back to back. Next thing you know, the damn police answered his phone. Yeah. The police said, I was like, why do you have my son's phone? Who are you and what's your son's name? I said, I'm not telling you anything until you tell me why you have my son's phone. He said, this vehicle that we got this phone out of have just been involved in a potential robbery. And the person lost control. It was a high-speed chase. And the person lost control of the vehicle and it's in somebody's house. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, this gotta be some, ma'am, I need you to identify and tell me who you are. I said, I'm not telling you anything. I say, I need to know why you have my son's phone, because I'm still like in denial, you know, so to speak. Why you have him? He said, I've told you, and I'm not giving you any more information until you verify who you are. So I hung up the phone. And I called back again, and then they weren't answering at that time, right? So then the next thing you know, it was morning. Yeah, I'm up the whole night. Me and Trey, we walking the floor. My child come home. He fucking barefooted. Short. He had on pants that looked like they was made, somebody shredded them. Not lying. He's bleeding.
And got some clothes from somewhere else.
No, you could tell everything had been ripped up. He's bleeding from here where he's cut. Somebody gashed him straight down his forehead. And we're like, what happened to you? Because I didn't even go to work. I'm looking for him.
From the car accident?
I'm getting ready to tell you, boy, all of this. So I was like, what happened? So when he crashed, when he lost control of the car running from the police, he wound up running through the house to get to the bio. Got to the bio, hid from the police. So, okay, now I don't want to jump because I don't want to spoil this for y'all. He ran from the police in the bio. He wound up going to an apartment complex. Other two people with him, which were, one was a minor, they got caught. My child didn't get caught. He winded up going to an apartment complex and he banged on this lady's door telling her, somebody's trying to steal your car. Somebody's trying to steal your car. He got in her house, got her keys, because he was keep in mind, he was in Pasadena, Texas. I'm like, first of all, if you don't know what you're doing, ask somebody. Because Pasadena, they don't like us. Period. So he's there, and this is what he's telling me, because I'm basically telling you what he told me, the events that went on that night. He got in there, got in the lady house. The lady was like, when she testified against him in court, that's when I heard all the details. She said he was just a nice young man, you know, and I believed him. And I let him in and he got her keys. They were tussling for it. Somehow, she said, She made up some stuff. We knew it was made up, but I would have did the same goddamn thing to get him more time. She made up some stuff that she said or what have you, and it wasn't true, but they start tussling, and she had a saw in the back of her car, and he hit her. She cut his ass with the saw. And it was very close to his eye. So he was lucky he didn't lose an eye. So he used her vehicle and dumped it by our house. So when he told me that, guess what? His mama called the police on his ass. I absolutely did. I did.
So you call the police. He's sitting there or standing there or whatever. What is he saying to you? 'Cause I'm pretty sure he's all out of.
He's in shock.
He's not going to go run.
Yeah.
He's done running.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he make you feel bad about that?
No, he did not. He didn't say anything. I said, I'm calling the police. I say, because I didn't raise a child to cause harm to others. Absolutely. We're not doing that. Just no way will I be a part of this. So I called the police on him. They said they would have an investigator to come out to the house, right? So this was so I wouldn't let him go to school. So he was out of school for 3 days before somebody showed up at the house. And they would show up when I was at work.
Hold on, whoa. You call the police to turn your son in for aggravated assault, and they wait a few days to come out.
Before they came to the house. Yep. I don't know whether they had to gather their evidence. I don't know what they had to do. So, no, he did go back to school. I'm lying to you. The day he went back to school, he was home for 2 days because we just knew the police was going to come. I say, stay in that house. And when they come, you need to call me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm coming from work. We had a plan already devised for him to turn himself in because I didn't want them to kill him. Because that's what they do. And so I told him, you just stay in here, blah, blah, blah. So 2 days later, they didn't come. So he winded up going to school. His dad picked him up. Emilio called me. He say, Chon, you got black cars all surrounded, because we stayed in the cul-de-sac. He already knew they was coming from them. They brought probably about 5 or 6 cars to come and get him. And so Emilio, I told him, I say, take him in the house and just stay with him until I get there. Ask them to stay in there. And so the investigators, they were courteous. They waited for me and Trey to get home. I called Trey. We both left work. And they're sitting in our living room. And Tate didn't confess right off. I just told him, dude, you're caught. Man, just go ahead. Yeah. And just let's just move forward with it. So I was the one to convince him to tell the truth. So before he was telling the truth, before he got to that part, the investigator said, the guy, the officer that you ran from had just came back from leave from shooting and killing a black teen. Same situation, running from the cops. Oh yeah, and we were just sitting there looking, and this was a Caucasian man. So the man was like, I need to understand why you did this. This whole thing just, I think, made my son think. So here's the coup de grace that I wanted to tell you. So first of all, the car that he had was his car. So the white friend that he had, his mom was allowing my son to keep a car that he purchased that I knew nothing about at her house. She knew where we lived because all my kids' friends, they have to come to the house. I'm feeding her son. He comes over there. He a sweet young man. She was literally harboring a car. There's no way I would let one of my son's friends keep a vehicle at my house, and I'm not talking to their parent. It was like the roles was flipped or something. The car was his, because when they told me this is his car, I say, my son doesn't own a car. So I'm up there arguing with him.
They're like, shit.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. They say, ma'am, this is Emilio's car. And I was like, what? I have not authorized, because he only had his permit. I'm that mom. He done did my grandmother actually paid for him to go. He went and bought a cash car. Yeah, he went and bought a cash car. And I'm arguing with them because I'm like, he don't have a car. Then he came clean that it was his car. Well, where were you keeping the car? Why am I sitting up there taking you to school every day and you got a car?
At some point, did you be like, nigga, listen. Can you tell me everything right now? So you keep surprising me? The surprises never ended. It was just one after another. So he had a car, and then one of the guys that he was robbing with,
He lived in a trailer park, no lights, horrible condition. My child was giving him the money. Him and the other dude was giving him the money to help feed them. I say, so what the fuck are you, the Robin Day Martin Hood? I mean, the modern day Robin Hood. I say, cause you don't pay no bills around here. You ain't pay a gas bill, and I let him work because he loved clothes, tennis shoes, just like if you could see the stuff I gave away, all the name brand stuff. This is where we go wrong. Always saying, I want my child to have more than I did and all that stuff. In some cases, that's a fucking hindrance. It is. I get it. It is a hindrance. And he had all Tate had to do was worry about taking care of himself, because I wanted him to dress nice, have what you want, blah, blah, blah. So moving forward, you got this boy living like this, and then the other guy, he only had his mom. And they say, here you go, you in this house. Mm-hmm. You got 2 dads sitting here with us.
2 sets of parents.
Yes. That's right here doing everything for you. Like, I don't understand it. Like, why? So my son never did answer him, but he finally did confess to what was going on. They still didn't pick him up. They left after he confessed.
They left him at home?
They left him. Because the DA have to pick up the charges. They just can't arrest you, you know. So with all the evidence, so what I asked them for is, can you please not kick down my door when you come back to get him?
Can you be just knock?
Just because I'm cooperating. Right. Exactly. Right. So the detective promised me, he said, everything that's within me, it'll be done with dignity. He said, we will not kick down your door. They didn't. And so because something violent happened in my home, I had to leave. Yeah, with me, so I left, and
wait a minute.
My ex-husband had taken. Remember, I told you we ended because of domestic violence. So it was a violent act that happened. So I left, and I knew Tate would say, because this was between me and him, and he took Tate to school or whatever, and they picked him up from the school.
You beat your husband up?
I wish I could have. Well, maybe in the end.
Okay, that's another.
No, I'm just joking. No, we joking.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
We try to keep it light, y'all.
Keeping it a little light. But anyway. Yeah, so they picked him up. They picked him up at the school. So they arrested him in front of all of his peers. They didn't even come back to my house.
Called I was already cooperating. Like, hey, I'm gonna bring him down.
Yeah, and I turned him in. So I would have brought him down, and so pressing forward from that, we had numerous resets, probably more than 10, leaving work. We sitting in court all day. And they finally sentenced them. And with the attorney that he had, he was like, get everything together. Get everything.
Get what together?
Like all the things, that he's done to see if this will help with the judge being lenient on him. So
his work in the church.
Yes, everything.
The playing baseball.
When I tell you, I had a thick photo album from all his work of homeless part, just everything that he's done. And so when we went there, whatever, this judge really had to stick up her ass. And at this point, she was having a bad day. Okay. However, the DA came really, really hard that day. And I'm sorry, I'm just sitting back reliving. And we had that courtroom sold up from my sister, my best friend, and just to set the scene for y'all, his godparents. My sister said he had 2 sets of godparents. We ain't gonna even talk about my first lady at the church. While she wasn't working, she tried to make every court date there was. And of all days, both of his dads, they came to every court date. They both couldn't leave their job, and this was the day we wasn't getting a reset. We actually went to trial.
They exhausted all the days, I think.
Man. They had and neither one of them couldn't leave and tell us, oh my God, a lynch. I mean, when I say we had that courtroom sold up, it was like stuff that they don't show on TV that black people actually support their children. They're not alone. So everybody did their testimony, and then the lawyer gonna tell me, y'all ain't got no crackheads in the family. Y'all not making this. I'm telling you what he told.
Y'all making it hard on me.
Y'all making it hard because you can't even say he had a bad upbringing. They was like with all these people helping him, and so the judge.
So it almost didn't help him.
It hurt him. And that's what she said. She said it was more of a hurt. He said, it was more of a hindrance than it was good for him, because she looked through the photo album. She was like, you did all this stuff, and you still did what you did. It's no excuse. So when we come to the question, if black men are treated fairly, I can speak for my son's case. My son was given so many chances. When I say prior to this incident, we had maybe been to court about 6 times. My son was given a lot of chances to do the right thing. And I think because he got away light every time, he didn't believe fat meat was greasy. So they convicted him and they gave him 10 years.
So in
2 aggravated robberies. Oh, there were more than one. And one of them was an attempt, but they still gave him the one that he at the high speed, he never got in the store. So they gave him 2 aggravated charges. Yep. But they dropped everything else.
So he still got off, and I say take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, please.
I'm not going to sit out a ticket.
Yeah.
So
okay.
10 years to me is a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
He still kind of got off easy.
Hell yeah, he did.
So he went in at 17.
Mm-hmm.
He's 22 now.
Mm-hmm.
He has 5 to go.
Mm-hmm.
But he's up for parole in
February of this upcoming year.
How do you think that's looking for him?
Man, so
what has he accomplished in there?
Yes. So first of all, he's accomplished to let me know, Mom, you did everything you could. I never thought I would have this relationship with my child. Mom, you did everything that you could do. All of this is on me. You know, with all the guilt I was carrying and everything. He said, Mom, you never have left my side with everything that I was doing. He don't know how much life this gave me. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, the road my child was going down, he was going to be dead real, real soon. You know, and I'm not putting that on him or wishing that on him, but you die the way you live. I'm a firm believer of that, you know, and he is like to where now he tell me too much. I be like, and he let me know. He said, you don't know half of what I did. This is only a fraction. I say, please don't tell me. I say, I'm okay with not knowing. And not just saying from the spiritual realm. I'm not going to say he's all spiritual and godly because he was spiritual before he went in there. He's self-aware because he knew God and he knew right from wrong before he went there. He has gotten all these different certifications, participating in these programs. He killed me saying, Mama, these youngsters coming in calling me old head. He said, well, I'm concerned at 22, because guess what? Oh. They walking in at 17, the same age he did. He said, Mom, it's so many of them coming in so young. And he said, I talk to them. I try to mentor them and not make the same mistakes that I made. Oh, because him being in that penitentiary, it's been a trial. They initially, so he got maced because they had him when they were transporting him, moving him. He's all the way in Abilene, so he's far from me. He's 6 hours or more away. That when they were transporting him there, because he had gotten sick, and so they didn't have any more room for him, so they moved him all the way to Abilene, Texas, and he was on a bus. The bus had broke down, which had led to they wouldn't even let them go to the restroom. So they told him, you just gotta go. So this is a child that is vain. If you know my kid, he gonna be pristine from head to toe. So you now affecting his manhood because you telling this man to urinate on. He say we hadn't eaten. When he got there, he told them, this is a violation of my rights. Y'all making me use the restroom. Y'all make on myself. Y'all haven't fed me. He went in there thinking he had motherfucking rights. And it was a woman cop. She maced his ass. She maced him. She maced him for complaining. And he told me, he said, Mom, it was just, and they wound up putting him in medium custody. So then guess what they did? They said to me that he was a suicidal risk. So what that led me to believe that if this nigga keep acting up, he gonna wind up hung. You know, yeah. So it's real. It's real up in there. You know, and it has been such an eye-opening situation because my son was like he was catching flights with my sister and taking cruises before the older kids got a chance to do it. He's always been a kid that's been able to have been afforded all these great things happening for him.
And I imagine that make doing this time a little harder because he knows the extreme other side of what it could be.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the time that he got is indicative of what most, let's talk about just black males. I'm not trying to leave the ladies out, but let's just talk about black males.
Yeah.
Do you think the time that he got is indicative of the time that most black males get when they get in trouble?
No, he was lucky.
I know a couple of people that have been charged with aggravated robbery.
Yeah.
Or brandishing.
Yeah. How much time did they get?
Oh, man. Brandishing 8 to 10?
Yep.
Now, that being said, I know 2 people that have had an aggravated robbery case and got 30 years.
Yeah. Or 50.
Or 50. So you don't think this is indicative of how most?
I don't. I think that they were completely fair with him, and as fair as it could be with him committing a crime.
Is it the age you think?
No, I think she saw potential, and that's what she let him know, the judge did, of what he can be. Like, you have all the tools. You have what everybody else don't. A lot of people don't have that. She said no matter what the race is that come in here, they don't have a support system to the magnitude that you have. And I think she had faith in him that he could redeem himself. And I'm praying that he can, because my prayer has been, God, don't let him out. You know, if he haven't been through that potter's house, because I don't want him to come out here and do more damage and hurt more people. But from our conversations and from how he is, he's out of medium custody. He's like a 2. He's working in there. He's gotten his GED, because when they took him to prison, he didn't even get a chance to graduate. He was in his senior year. And that was a fault of his own, not blaming anybody else. That was because of his actions. And he has participated and mentored in numerous programs. So his conversation is there. And he's not doing that holier than thou. You know how they try to quote scriptures to you when they found it, and that is what gives me pause. He's the same person, but he asked me, he say, Mom, do you know the majority of those guys that I was with, they are dead now, where I've gotten letters to where they're dead. Why did God save me? Like, why was I different to where he put me here, opposed to killing me for all the things, you know, that I've done? And I say, that's because you have a plan for your life. He say, Mama, why do I believe that? He said, I got work to do. When I come out here, and you know who I am, I'm holding him to all of that. You know, he has work to do.
You can be a little bossy.
Oh, shut up.
I'm sorry.
That don't have nothing to do with it.
Is he still in Abilene?
Yes, he is.
So let me ask you this. Aside from the 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
Walk me through what it's like to go in and visit.
Oh, man.
Now, not only the process.
Just in general, the whole mindset.
Going through your mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going to see my kid in here.
So I've had to do, let's talk about dealing with the admin. I've been pretty blessed that they all treat me. If the warden say they gonna call me back, they call me back from missing property, from him being accused of an incident, and I had them to investigate it, and it was, you know, a false incident. Them calling me, from that part, and compared to the horror stories that I've heard, I've been super duper blessed that they are very. They communicate well with me, you know, if I have concerns, and along with doing welfare checks when I haven't heard from him. When you go to a visit.
Back up just 1 second.
Yeah.
So welfare checks.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard from if you're used to regularly hearing from your loved ones,
yes.
and you haven't,
yes.
you can actually call up there and
you absolutely can.
And they'll go and check.
Yep.
Did I know that?
Yep. And then they'll also let you know that if you haven't called from him, because we don't get to see what's on their books. We don't know how much they're spending. Because I know one particular time, which was the last time, somehow they closed one of my accounts that I had with them. And he didn't have any money for the phone. She was like, all you have to do is you need to put money on his phone. And I was like, I just put money. And it was something that, like, say, for instance, if they assume you making a 3-way call, I don't care how much money you got, they'll shut it down because you can't do 3-way calls.
Because I grew up taking 3-way calls from, they
can't
don't
do
that
that.
no more.
You can't, and they do not play with you. They will cut that sucker off. They don't care how much money is on there. And so that was one of my cases, which wasn't true because I follow the rules because I don't want anything to happen. So, you know, things of that nature. As far as going there visiting, when they know how far you come. Believe it or not, they know how far you come, and they're always. I feel violated because I have to get totally searched.
So real quick. Oh, I want to hear about the search.
Yeah, yeah.
one of the main reasons I don't typically go and see people in the penitentiary is because I'm treated like a criminal.
Yeah.
When I go up there.
That's how you feel.
I have a family member. I don't want to be too specific, and I get a lot of cell phone calls from them.
Yeah.
I used to.
Yeah.
On top of that, be very careful what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Can you cash out me this? And then, so me being green to the whole thing, I initially was doing it. Then I heard it was shenanigans about.
Yep.
And so I cut all that off.
Right.
I don't want to be involved in that.
Exactly.
You know? So did you have to, was there every instance that you could hear from him outside of just having to put money on his books? Were you able to Facebook or Instagram have any messaging or anything like that?
No, I wasn't.
So you're just completely out of
and unless he'll have, and this used to terrify me because I don't like strangers having my number, that they'll call on his behalf if he's gotten in trouble or something like that. Somebody else will call me and let me know, but he's letting them know that he's okay. But I don't like that, having people to call me to ask me for money.
And
that's a problem.
I don't know if it's because we're old, but like I said, I'm used to things being a certain way.
Yes.
And it's no longer like that.
Yes.
It's just kind of confused. I don't know what's right
Yes.
and what's wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
And my son definitely knows the only way you're getting money is through an e-com or the e-com or JPay. That's the only way.
So let's go back to your cavity search.
Okay. Not the cavity search. But they do violate you. They do violate you. So one thing, they have a female most of the time to check that. I've never had a man to complete, and my dumb ass always forget, because you know I love jewelry. I have on all this jewelry, so I'm going off. Right. So I always have to be completely frisked, and it's normally by a female.
You said normally.
Yeah, it's normally by a female.
Turn,
yeah.
Yeah, she ain't got nothing.
Yeah,
okay,
no.
I'm sorry.
But you go through metal detectors, and so when you do go for a visit, you have an opportunity to get $25 in coins. And it has to be coins. You have your money.
I meant video for the
vending machine. Yes, for your visit. Yeah. And then you have to have it in, well, most cases have it in a sandwich bag.
Okay.
Take out everything. You can't take a cell phone in there. And if you do, they're going to make you get a locker. You can't have anything outside of your keys and your ID. That's it. And the coins that you bring with you. So you have to then go through, they have to check your ID. And you know, if you have a warrant or anything, they can keep you there. They can detain you. So please don't go up there if you have a warrant for your arrest. Please don't go up there. So
tickets too? It doesn't matter what.
I don't think it matters. I just know if it's a warrant.
Okay. They can either deny you or let you in.
Yeah.
I get you.
Or detain you. Detain you.
Detain you.
And so for the police, I guess it depends on what the crime is or how severe it is. But then you're going to go through 2 doors. Then you're going to walk down this long hallway. Then you got to go through another door and show your ID again. So that's when they're queuing him up to come to see him. So for 4 years, because of the incidents that my son has had, for 3 years, 4 years, I've had to see my son behind the glass. And my first time hugging him was this year in 4 years.
How did it feel?
It was freaking amazing. At first, my baby is now like 6'2". When he went in, he was still a growing boy. He wasn't no 6'2". He was probably about 6 feet tall. And just to hold him and to be able to embrace my kid, it was the best thing ever. You know, it was amazing. I couldn't even just.
I can't fathom it.
Man, and especially when you touchy feel, because me and my son on the way to school, he gonna tell you it's prayer. It's prayer, it's prayer, it's prayer. This is what we do together. No matter if I'm pissed at him, that doesn't interfere with that. That's our time. And whether he was receiving it or not, I know he feels it now. And then one of my sisters, Tamika, Erica, he tells them that I still hear y'all singing in church. When the times get hard for me, I hear y'all. The things you think those kids aren't paying attention to, I can hear y'all singing. And it just resonates with me. And it makes a decision on whether I'm going to do something good or bad. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's trying times. But
I get it.
I prefer him to be there than in a coffin.
So you think, had he stayed out on the streets, he may have a limited amount of time left?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And he needed it. And now we talk about his plan. So everything that we're talking about now is preparation for him to come home.
You did share with me some stuff. He got his diploma.
Yeah.
And he has a plethora of other different certificates and stuff. So here's the thing.
He's putting in the work. He has options. The biggest thing that I can think of, because, I grew up in the 80s. Yeah.
Most of my friends have been to the penitentiary.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Simply because the environment we grew up in.
Yeah.
The crack era. The 94 crime bill. All of that stuff. So I've just happened. These are not horrible people, but
right. They just made poor decisions at the time.
Decisions.
Yeah.
And this is what it turned out to be. But one of the things that may have hindered him as far as him actually getting convicted and serving time is that he had a support group. It should have never happened, but also it can benefit him that coming out, he has that same support group, and maybe things will be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And it's time for him to be a support to others. Everybody have given you all their time, their love, their resources, encouragement, wisdom, anything you could think of, he's been given. And now at this time, it's time for him to now start giving back. Because I can only, to the people who have supported me, from my sister, my brother-in-law, Lord, his siblings, which is my son and my daughter, step siblings, not so much. They don't want to introduce them to this lifestyle, but the support, no. And to my old church that I used to go to, First Union, the support they've given to Erica, where do these people who give me money to put on his books, to his dad's, even Trey, even if we're not together, this man was freaking amazing. If he could have put the energy that he put into my child, into our marriage, ain't no telling where we would be, because he was amazing.
Not about you,
I know, but I'm just saying.
Christ.
And I have no regrets, because I love my life as it is. Trust me. And but
you're on the Social Drinkers Podcast.
I'm on the Social Drinkers Podcast. Yes, and God has blessed me with a wonderful helpmate. So my whole point of it is that my child has been blessed with some amazing people, and I just thank them for supporting us on this journey. Because it's been rough, and it's been really, really rough because of young age, and he had to grow up in there. He had to be taught lessons in there, because at 17, you're not done learning.
How much time does he have left?
So before parole, he has in February of this year, he come February 9th, if I'm not mistaken, he's in parole review as we speak right now. And if he doesn't make parole, he'll have to wait for the next parole. And altogether, it's 10 years. So he would have to serve 5 more. But I already know he's coming home. So
you already manifested that.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Feel like sounds like he's done some work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is what I can do. This is what I'm capable of.
Yes.
So you just sit up there and just chill or anything.
Exactly. He actually put in the work with himself, and he actually joined a Christian group as well. And there's more certificates than the ones that I've given you previously. So he's working on himself, and that's all that I ask that he ever do is work on himself. And he's maintained without being on medication in there. And that was one of my big questions. Are you still having the impulsive behavior? And he said, Mom, I'm not on any meds, and I just felt I just needed to grow up and become a man, and all I can do is hope and pray that everything that he's been showing me, all the good works, all the people he's helped, that he comes into the free world. And I know it's going to be adjustment, because he went in as a kid. Life is different as he knows it. That he comes in and put in work.
At that age.
Yeah.
5 years is a long
yes,
ass time.
Yes, it is.
We wrote down questions.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one of your questions is, as a parent, what would you have done differently to prevent your son from being incarcerated? Now, I didn't want to ask that question like that.
Okay. You ask it how you want to ask it.
Well, the reason I want to ask it like that is because, honestly, I can't fathom anything that you could have done differently.
I can tell you one.
Well, tell me what it is.
One main one is, before you guys marry and integrate your family, you need to take the time out and vet the behaviors of the other children that you're about to integrate your child with. That was one of the biggest regrets that I had, because it wasn't made privy to me all the issues that was already in existence. You know what I'm saying? Not putting anybody on Front Street, but me putting my son in that environment and him being exposed firsthand, being taken to crime sprees. We're working. His dad, he been at his job for 20 years. So we're working overtime and we're working to provide a life. And after school, when y'all get out, y'all taking him with your friends, this little impressionable kid, and opening him up to a life of crime. That's what I would have did differently. If I would not have known, I would not have integrated my family.
So I'm like, feel free not to answer.
Yeah, just ask me whatever.
How are they?
Well, one of the twins. He doesn't get as in much trouble as the other one, but the other one has been to prison for robbery, and me and his grandmother were the ones at court with him all the time. Got him off by the stroke of my pastor, my friends, and everybody else, and he would not obey. We got him out of jail after committing armed robbery, and he still went back and was doing other stuff and had to go right back. So he had to finish serving his time. He's out now, and the person who has done the most for them, both of them, because it wasn't no step. I treated them like they were mine, and all the trouble they were getting into from whatever. And they took their dad's side of him being abusive to me. And so they don't really interact with, and I'm good with that. I'm okay with that, because hey, by all means, be with, your dad, but don't interact with them both, but they both have criminal records.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not that important. I was just wondering, since possibly they introduced this lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not their fault.
Right. No, because, not at all. He has his own mind.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm not
and it was my job to protect my son, and I didn't.
There's only so much you can do.
But I didn't protect him. I should have done more research, and I would tell anybody that. Not just a woman, a man too. If you're that single father integrating get to know those children who you're integrating your child with.
All I want to do is take just a modicum of accountability in this situation off of you. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean, if it wasn't them, it could be his homeboys.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So don't do that. I'm asking that you don't do this to yourself, but I'm not in your shoes either.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
What differences have you seen in your son?
Oh, man, he's more open. So when all of the kids, so we do Sunday dinners, the whole nine. That's our unit. He would separate himself from everybody. We love game night. He always got to be in a different one because he was doing wrong, And now he's more open. We talk, and we can talk freely. Now like I said, he want to talk too freely and tell me too much. And some of that I just don't want to hear. I'm okay with it. Yeah. I got a lot of hair down there now, just stuff I don't want to talk about. But but now our conversation is very open and candid. I have a relationship with him that I haven't experienced because he was my baby. That was my baby since he was younger. And it feels good to be able to have frank conversations with him. It feels good for him to be happy. Me and him laughing and talking, because our relationship was always me scolding him because it was always something, And now we get to laugh. We get to cut up. We're now doing this thing. He say, Mom, you got to do it with me. He say, because we're manifesting this. So he had me to write down a list of things that I wanted. And he said, you pray over them every night. And what you want ain't monetarily. He said, I need you to pray over. And that day that he told me to do that, I always check to see where his case is. And I checked and he was in parole review. He said, my mama, that's on my list. He was hooping and hollering in the phone. It was the most awesome thing. He said, look at God, look at God. And for him to pay homage to God is a big thing for me, because I always believe if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. So I'm very proud of my child. That's all I can say.
Actually, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
You can be proud of him.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
I know. You will soon.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I would love to speak with him.
Yes.
I can't begin to imagine what it would be like to be in your shoes.
Yeah.
We make a lot of sacrifices for our kids.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes I complain about my son. Gave him everything he wanted. So as parents, we try, if we can,
Yeah.
and God forbid we actually have the means to do it.
Yeah.
Give our kids everything that we always wanted. Sometimes it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Absolutely.
We do it, and our kids still turn out to be who they are.
Yep.
Just based on some of the interaction we had over the last week and a half concerning this topic, and come from an outside perspective. You did everything you could. And I know that it was weighing heavy on you. I know that you want him to make parole in 2024, which is coming up.
Yep.
So we're going to manifest that.
Yes. But if you don't, I won't be disappointed. I'm just letting you know.
I get it. With everything that you've, from the beginning, because we discussed some of the genesis of everything that's happened to this point right here.
Yes.
What advice would you give a parent who's raising a kid that may be difficult or may have some type of emotional or mental challenges? What advice would you give them, because you're uniquely qualified to speak on that?
First, don't give up on your kid. I don't care what you do, just don't give up on your kid. I would definitely suggest don't let every conversation be a scolding conversation, because they're going to tune you out and they're not going to listen to you. Yeah, so be open, talk to them, and try to get to the best, and definitely seek help. If you see after 2 or 3 incidents, and a lot of times we don't want to admit something's wrong with my kid. That's the hardest thing for a parent ever to do, is because my sister was like, ain't nothing wrong with my nephew. I was like, you not living here. Something wrong with him. Something wrong with the boy. Yeah.
I beg to differ, sister.
Yes. And that's my sister, baby, and definitely seek help. Don't wait until it's too late, because I let incident after incident go, and I wish I could have gotten help a little earlier than I did, and we could have combat some of the issues. So definitely seek help. If you are in a church, get your brothers or sisters involved, because it's as many troubled girls as it is young men, and get them involved. Get them involved in it. Don't be scared to ask for help, and we can't do it alone. And that's my biggest advice to give, is not to give up. Don't make every conversation a scolding conversation. Don't be in denial about your child. And please don't say what they won't do, because they will embarrass your ass. Because they're still an individual at the end of the day. And if your kid still makes a decision, a conscious decision on their own to do the wrong thing, you've done what you could. You've tried. You've done your best. And the rest is up to them. And that's really it. And pray, because that's all you can do is pray.
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a gangster.
You think so?
Yeah, because not in the typical, like, you doing drive-bys.
Right. I would hope not. They got me on camera.
Running up on your ops and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm a sucker for my kids.
Yeah.
I'm a granddad now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My
and
granddaughter
she is gorgeous. Oh, my God. Oh, she is so cute, too. You're blessed.
I'm blessed. I don't know how I would handle it.
Yeah.
But we have hundreds of thousands of parents every year that have to go through this thing.
Yes.
So not only do you have to deal with your son being with your baby being incarcerated.
Yeah.
You had to actually witness a lot of the things that he was doing that led up to that.
Yes.
There are unfortunately a lot of parents, mothers and fathers, that will see the same behavior and ignore it.
Yeah.
I told you the situation I was dealing with the people across the street from me.
Yeah.
Not 2 weeks after I told you everything I've gone through with them, the son is dead now.
It's so unfortunate.
Unfortunately, it would seem to me that sometimes, even if you do everything in your power to mitigate the behavior of your child or fix the situation, it doesn't amount to much more than the situation I was dealing with, where the parents actually condoned and applauded the situation, and the situation, the end result is the very worst that we have to offer.
What you can't come back from.
You can't come back from.
Yeah.
I was raised in a really strict Catholic household.
Yeah.
I ended up, older cat. Ended up on the 10th floor of the old county jail in Harris County, gladiator floor.
Yeah.
There was no reason
for you to be there.
For me to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to carry a whole lot of burden.
Right.
I can say that doesn't stop you from doing it.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So you did what you could.
Yeah.
And at this point, the only thing you can do right now is to, when he gets out, and he'll be out soon, to be there for him like you always have.
Yes.
And maybe kick him in his ass every now and then.
Okay. Well,
Mama,
Karen done said she gonna beat him. Oh, it's so many people say they gonna beat that ass because he shouldn't have been there. But shoulda, coulda. And that's one thing we don't do. We don't go over when we talk.
Yeah.
Just talk about what he did. Like, we've all done some shit, and a lot of us ain't got caught.
Just ain't got caught.
We have not got caught. So I don't badger him with his past because it's just that.
And honestly, I'm kind of half joking. You're not gonna improve a behavior by physically hitting somebody.
You won't.
You won't. Not the way.
You won't.
But to be there when he gets out.
Oh yeah.
That's all you can do. And I'm a little bit proud of you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And then I was like, I'm looking at you. I'm like, man, she gonna start crying.
Yeah.
Look at this motherfucker. She's not gonna cry at all. Okay, so
I done cried so many tears. Shit, I could fill up this whole room. It's no more room for tears. Look, it's no more room for tears. Now it's time to go for progression and just want the best for your children, your family, your friends, and everyone around you. Chon, you made this easy for me. So I thank you for this interview because it was therapy for me. This is the first time that I've came public with it. And when I tell you, when everybody saw him on the news that 11, 13, 26, 20, they play over and over. I ain't never seen them play. Y'all, I was so ashamed. I had calls from people I have not heard from in freaking forever. I say, nigga, this how you want to make us famous?
I'm just calling check on you because I was good.
I had to ignore so many calls, and it was so many people just calling to be nosy. They truly weren't concerned, and it's tough on any family, not just me, but for the entire family because we went through it together. And then his nephews, man, they miss him. Oh my God, my daughter's sons, they love him to death, and they want their uncle to come home. So him being there, my grandmother is still alive. My dad's still alive, and y'all don't question me. My dad older than my grandmother. We ain't gonna talk about how that happened.
Whoa. You know what?
Yeah, that my mom's mom. Wow. Yeah, because my daddy like him young, y'all. He like him young. J-Bo, we ain't even fooling with you. We ain't gonna make this about you. That's a different podcast.
Okay, yeah. So fine.
My dad is alive and kicking, and he has his, and I'm God's grace that he'll be home while they're still here. We're all still here because anything can happen to any of us at any time. So. Right. And it's been a lot of family losses of people that he was close with, while he was gone. And that's what you run the risk of, life passing you by.
Yeah, I see a lot of podcasts with people that have been in the pen, and that's one of the roughest things in the world is being, a chaplain calling them down.
Yes.
It can be bad. There are things worse than doing time.
Yes, it really is.
So
it really is.
There it is. Now, this is still your show. You want to wrap it up? Oh,
yes. Thank you guys all for joining us. I hope you guys don't be too hard on me with my journey. And
bet not.
And I had to do what I had to do as a mom to save my child's life. I love him with all my heart. I love all who have supported us in the physical, financially, the prayers, the love, the support. I thank you, Chon, for interviewing me. You did it so gracefully, and it wasn't heavy at all, and it was therapeutic. So I
told you I
thank
was
you.
gonna try to help you out.
You did.
I ain't want you to be like,
No, it could have went that way.
I got you.
But it's been an experience, and we just ask that you pray for our podcast and you go to YouTube, subscribe to the Social Drinkers Podcast. We try to put out great content. We try to give you guys the real. Y'all know my story.
As real as we can get it.
Y'all know my story, so you know. It's real. You know, Chon is real, you know, so we try to give you everything that's real. And we have two very special treats coming up from an author. And we also have a YouTube star that's going to be joining us in the upcoming weeks.
YouTube or Tubi?
Tubi, excuse me. Not YouTube, Tubi star.
And y'all know, man, I'm gonna have fun with that.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun.
We're gonna have fun with that.
We're going to have some fun. Yeah. And so please go to YouTube, go to the Social Drinkers Podcast and subscribe. Y'all help us out. We want to keep being able to put out great content for you. And we love you as an audience. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.
It's the Social Drinkers Podcast.